Due to its function, the bathroom is one of the most, if not the most, damp and humid areas in your house. And if nature is left unchecked to run its course, the bathroom not only becomes a breeding ground for germs like bacteria, viruses, and fungi, but also a catalyst for rust, grime, and gunk buildup, all of which can lead to infections, sickness, and accidents to your family. But the good thing is, like many other responsible homeowners, you clean your bathroom on a regular basis, right? And this could involve a range of activities such as sweeping or mopping the floor to keep it dry, washing the sink to get rid of those toothpaste and soap stains, scrubbing the walls and disinfecting the surfaces, and cleaning your toilet. Which brings us to the focus of this video. Because there's this one part of the toilet that's often overlooked and seldom cleaned, or has never even been cleaned before. And I'm not talking about the areas under the seat nor under the rim. What I'm talking about is the inside of the toilet tank. Because it's covered and out of sight, it's so easy to overlook cleaning the inside of the tank. And this is what happens when it's been ignored far too long. Worse, it's harder to actually clean than it looks because typical methods like scrubbing simply aren't enough. So I'm here to share with you the secret of getting rid of this. Let's go! We begin by shutting off the toilet tank's water inlet valve and holding down the flush handle until as much water from the tank has drained out. Then remove the refill tube from the overflow tube. Wrap a piece of plastic at least 3 times bigger than the diameter of the overflow tube over its opening. Then we secure the plastic in place with 2 to 3 rubber bands. We now have created a watertight seal, which I will explain further in a minute. But first, this is food-grade citric acid, and I bought it online for 185 pesos per kilogram. Citric acid was first derived from lemon juice by a Swedish researcher back in 1784, but today it's mass-produced from a specific type of mold. This is an odorless and colorless compound which almost looks like sugar. But don't let the word acid intimidate you. While it is stronger than acetic acid or vinegar, it is way milder than hydrochloric acid or muriatic acid. And because of its acidic and sour tasting property, citric acid is a versatile additive for food, beverages, medicines, and dietary supplements, as well as cleaning and disinfecting products. And it's that cleaning and disinfecting application we're going to explore today. In fact, did you know that citric acid is the active ingredient in some bathroom and kitchen cleaning solutions? Now going back to our tank, I pour about a cup of citric acid down to the bottom. And don't worry about being super accurate with the measurement. This isn't a science experiment. And with an old tank as huge as this, I would even go as far as pouring 2 to 3 cups just to be sure that the citric acid isn't diluted too much to a point where its cleaning power is weakened. Then I follow through with a bucket of lukewarm water directly on top of it. Try to pour forcefully so that the water itself agitates and scatters the citric acid all around. It's essentially like stirring the solution as you pour. Now, some do suggest using heated water because it dissolves and activates the citric acid crystals better. It's definitely a good option, especially if you live in an area with cold climate. Just don't use boiling water or you might damage and warp your toilet tank fittings. Okay, unlike other videos you might have seen, I fill up the tank all the way to the brim because I want this cleaning solution to get in contact with every square inch of the tank's inner walls. Remember, what this solution doesn't touch, it cannot clean. And we don't have to worry about the water level going down too fast because we already plugged the overfill tube with plastic, remember? Yes, water might seep out through the flush handle hole, but it would only be minimal. So at this point, there's nothing left to do but let this sit for at least an hour. I'm going to speed up the video and tell me in the comments below if you noticed any change over time. Okay, I felt like there's too much water in this tank for a cup of citric acid to be effective, so I'm pouring a bit more citric acid here. By the way, I already used the initial content of this bag on our other toilet tank. Let's go there now and we'll come back to this one later. So we're here in our second bathroom, where I have already filled up this second toilet tank with citric acid solution. Basically, I followed the same steps I showed you earlier, even down to plugging this overflow tube with plastic and rubber bands. Now, water seeping through this flush handle is a bit stronger, and why the citric acid solution is now a few inches below the brim after a couple of minutes. In a previous video, I had dismantled this very same toilet tank, brought it outside, and tried to clean it before replacing all the fittings. But even after using a pressure washer and sandpaper, I still failed to clean it to a point where I was satisfied. So today is round 2, and I'm hoping citric acid will do a better job. Unlike the first tank, I'm gonna let this sit for at least 2 hours so that we can compare how time factors in to the end results. Meanwhile, back to our first tank, it's been 45 minutes and so far, I can already see the walls of the tank having a much lighter shade. In contrast, the citric acid solution has turned murky, probably because of all that grime it has dissolved from the tank walls and flooring. Let's wait a few more minutes until we're closer to 1 hour. Okay, it's been almost an hour, so let me flush this now for us to have a better look. What I will say is, compared to when we started off, this is a much cleaner looking tank. While there are still obvious light brown stains all over, I'm actually surprised and impressed with how much more grime was still removed. I'm almost tempted to scrub the stains off, but I did promise in this video, no scrubbing. But we're not yet done here. I need to rinse the walls and the fittings with water to wash off any residual citric acid and do a second flush to drain out most of the sediments that settled at the bottom of the tank. Hey, is it just me or did the stains and the walls look even lighter after that second flush? Okay, at this point, let me open the water inlet valve, and as the tank is refilling, we can now remove our makeshift drain plug and remount the refill hose. So this is what a citric acid solution can do in about an hour with no scrubbing. It might not look much, but just to remind you, this is the before. And this is after. Okay, are you curious to see what citric acid can do in 2.5 hours? Me too, so let's head back to our second toilet tank. And I can tell you right now, things here are looking way better. But let's still explore if we can take this farther by doing the same steps I did with the first toilet tank. Here goes. And this is one heck of an improvement. Remember, this is what it looked like after already using pressure washer and sandpaper in my previous video. And this is what it looks like now after using citric acid and with no scrubbing. So if you have the same situation at home and physics simply doesn't work as a cleaning approach, you now know that there's a better option: chemistry and time.